Why is shadow work important? And how does it affect your manifestations and also your life? Keep watching this important video that may even give you answers to questions you may not even have thought about. Namaste, Sacred Masters. I'm Dr. Ayos Ukehi, Certified Shadowwork NLP Manifesting Coach, where in this channel, I teach you not only how to increase your manifesting powers, but master it by taking back control of your dark side. Shadow work is the process where we not only work on our dark side, but we master them. Everybody has a shadow side, standing right behind us, away from view. The majority of the world, including light seekers and life coaches, go to great lengths to protect their self-image from anything unflattering or unfamiliar. Ever since we were young, we have not only exhibited traits of love, kindness, generosity, and empathy, but we can also express the opposite like anger, selfishness, and greed. Our parental and authority figures teach us how to survive with these traits by reprimanding us, telling us what's good and what's bad based on societal norms. Now, this may seem like a good thing where they are helping you discern what you need to survive growing up in your environment, but what most people don't know is that these feelings are denied. They are pushed into the shadow. They do not go away just because you ignore them, but rather they turn to your dark side. I represent this part in my work as the shadow child, because most people need to heal the child first, sort of like healing the inner child, in order to master their shadow side. Notice I did not talk about eliminating it, because you cannot eliminate the shadows. It stays with us. Trouble arises when we fail to acknowledge it. Like any child, it is secretly working with your subconscious, and any part we disown within us turns against us. We do things later we regret. We get into outbursts, and even though you may see it in others and others may see it in you, you might not be aware your facial expressions are expressing your shadow side even if you don't consciously know it. The shadow side is what causes failed relationships with spouses, family, and friends, as well as our professional relationships. If you want to know how prevalent your shadow side is, you can easily see it by the way we see others. In psychology, there is a term called projection, where we see in others what we don't like in ourselves. If, for example, you get irritated when someone is being lazy, it's a good bet you haven't owned up to your own laziness. Because if laziness was not in your shadow side, their laziness wouldn't bother you so much. The reason we do this is because our ego is trying to defend itself, so it's projecting instead. By projecting, you don't have to feel bad about yourself. You can instead project it out onto other people. But the problem is, it is there, and you won't even see it as it's slowly eating away at you. While these blockages are good for your ego, it is terrible if you do any manifesting work. That is because the more the ego has a hold over you in convincing you of its powers, the less you are working with your shadow and subconscious. This is where 95% of the work takes place, and oftentimes the most potent and powerful parts of your manifesting. You see, the whole idea of manifesting is that your thoughts and desires become reality. By thinking and feeling a desire, the universe shapes its reality to bring you what you want. But so many people get the opposite of what they want and end up with what they don't want, the opposite. So many of them start to get jaded and think that this manifesting thing is just repackaged positive thinking that's unrealistic and leads to disappointment. Did you catch yourself there? That's your ego protecting you again if you're thinking like that. Meanwhile, as you shrug and go about living your life based upon the conditions of the 3D world, the whole time your shadow and subconscious continue to work in the background. You'll start seeing your life go around in patterns, which can be a hair-pulling experience for many of you. You get irritated easily, whether or not you show it. But if that's not bad enough, consider this. Pushing down those negative feelings not only cultivates them to build up inside of you, waiting for it to boil and you explode everything out one day, but those negative feelings are also part of your manifesting powers. In fact, the more you repress those feelings, the more powerful it is in manifesting the things you don't want. Have you noticed that? When life coaches or manifesting coaches tell you to forget about your problems and just focus on the positive, in some ways they are right. But in other ways, that can be dangerous advice because by forgetting your problems, it does not make it go away. In fact, as that problem remains and festers, it is also manifesting within you, becoming stronger the more you try to forget about it. This is why shadow work is so important. Because of how long the shadow side has been repressed, you can imagine that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And there are many ways to do shadow work. I covered some of the basic ones in my other videos, but I have a beginner's shadow work I recommend everybody starts, which is to lay the foundation for shadow work and begin work on developing a relationship with your shadow child inside of you. We always want to start with the child, because more oftentimes than not, it is very early in your childhood when you lay the foundations of your shadow side. By also giving your shadow child a face and a character, you beat yourself up less, and rather you approach your shadow side with the unconditional love that it needs from you as its new parent to tend to its wounds. You'll find that just working with your shadow child, a lot of the problems of your teenage years, as well as your adult years, start to go away too. That's because by working from the source of the problem, from the earliest time, you're healing and forgiving yourself for all the future baggage as well. Your journey to a sacred master is to transcend from self-identity, which is the identity you perceive of yourself with your ego, to true personality, which is how you really are. Shadow work can be very heartbreaking, painful, and lengthy work for some. If you feel extreme discomfort, you should seek the help of professionals that can help you with it. And while taking the first few steps into the shadows takes great courage, remember those who enter the cave find a treasure. Hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell, where I post twice weekly on new techniques of shadow work to help guide you through this without it being too frightening or painful, as well as some tips to help you manifest your dream life and desires from the basis of doing the shadow work within. I'll post the next video for an introduction to shadow work, as well as links to some of my other free courses and modules that I post on this channel for free. You can see more too in the description box below.